I think this calls for a celebration.
But Armageddon Now, we stuck him in the netherworld, and it was a story of what happens if Hercules is trapped, and then we again use the Chronostone to alter time, and it's the world where Hercules was never born, and Xena has become evil, and it's a story that Rob always wanted to do, and now Kevin's medical problems gave him an excuse to do it.
When we first came in, the part of the story was that Hercules was on the other side and that he was going to be brought back at the end. But what we were mostly concerned with telling was that we knew that Hercules had to effect his own escape. He could not just be brought back. Because Kevin is such an active character, you expect him to save the day somehow in the end.
Well, he's your hero.
Yeah, so we knew that he had to figure out how to get out of there by himself. And then, so that became his goal. And it was easier once we realized that we could do that with him. You know, that gave him a through line of how am I going to get out of here, and then he gets out of there.
This is a typical episode where Rob said, we'll give you guys, we can get Lucy and Renee, you know, to help fill in for this time when Kevin's down. We can give you these guys for 2 scenes. What would you do with them if you just had them for 2 scenes? So that was really trying to come up with, well, what would the world be like if Hercules hadn't had an impact on Xena's life? So she becomes the conqueror of the world and her face is on the coin and everything. I thought that was a lot of fun, you know, just the difference. And Gabrielle becomes the leader of the revolt against Xena, who's become the evil emperor. I mean, it was a lot of fun doing those. It was only 2 scenes, but it was fun to do them.
Bring out the prisoner!
What is her crime?
I spoke.
The Dayhawk storyline, which I was involved with in both shows, both Xena and Hercules, weaved in and out of those 2 shows in a very confusing manner. I thought, Rob, what are you doing? You know, you have to follow both shows, and they're going to be split apart years from now in syndication and on DVD sets. And how is the audience ever going to realize, you know, be able to track these events chronologically? He said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We have no choice. We had no choice, you know, with Kevin's situation." So yes, Armageddon Now begins at the end of a Xena episode that had aired like 2 weeks earlier. There really wasn't much explanation. We just showed a few events on camera and then quickly got into our story. So if the viewers were up to speed on their Xena, fine. If not, it was over with pretty quickly and into a story that they could follow.
Hey! Where am I? You're in the wrong place. This is Syrah.
Syrah, Callisto's town.
What's going on? Xena's what's going on, mister. Already laid waste to half the countryside. Now she's headed for us.
So I'm still in the past.
Basically, LAWLESS is driving that episode. I mean, he goes back to try and stop Callisto from doing what she's doing, and then he has to really try and affect what's happening with Xena in the time that he's there with her. So
it was fun because it was a Back to the Future episode. He got to go back and then forward. And then he would see himself like he saw himself from the other time he went back. He saw himself in the field talking to Callisto.
I thought you were outside.
I was. I am.
So you had to really
it was tough.
Keep in place where the players were and how many times. And then we fought with the question, which I thought was funny. If you went into the past, and if you had already gone into the past, would you really see yourself there? Or would you be here or there? And it was so funny to me that we were arguing this because
the writers,
it's a question that doesn't mean anything.
We sat around there for, like, that was probably an hour one, you know, right before lunch going, oh no, you would never see yourself.
You wouldn't see yourself because you couldn't be in 2 places at once.
There's no reality here. What are we talking about? But we all argued about it. No, you wouldn't be there. I mean, of course you wouldn't. Yes, you would. It's the past. You're there, you know.
Well, Callisto had been on Hercules before, at least once, in an episode called Surprise, right, at the end of the 3rd season. So she had been established in the universe.
That was Paul's original idea. Was the Callisto episode was like really who was a forceful character that they could have that could do a lot of the action, while Kevin was not able to do a lot of the action.
No, you don't.
You know, Callisto is basically the Terminator. I mean, that's Callisto's character. So that was really Paul's idea of how to put a big action figure out front.
Welcome home, Callisto.
Oh. Why? It's over. Leave me alone.
Your work's not finished, Callisto.
I've done all I can.
Not yet. Your biggest challenge is ahead.
And what would that be?
To rid the world of its greatest hero, Hercules.
Rob had always wanted to do some kind of scene involving the death of a god. Because even then he knew that a year or two from now he planned to kill off all the gods in this universe. He wanted to do the twilight of the gods, of the Greek gods. And this was a way to establish that at least it was possible. We talked about the hind's blood having the ability to kill a god. Well, what good is it to talk about if we don't ever see it? I needed a disposable god, frankly, and that Strife had been previously in the Golden Hind episodes, and I had written him an end at the beginning. And he was effective, and yet nobody really loved him until Armageddon Now. Suddenly everybody fell in love with this character in Armageddon Now, just as I kill him off.
No hard feelings, okay? I mean, you got the chops, and that's a fact. If there's one thing that us gods of aggression appreciate, it's a good show of strong brute force, no mercy. So, let me be the first to welcome you to the club.
But I wouldn't want to be in a club. You'd have me for a member.
Saying, well, what did you kill this guy off? He's great. He's a great contrast to Ares, and they have really fun together. He's a punk god. Guys, you know, somebody had to go, and I didn't have any other gods to dispose of. Couldn't do it to Ares.
It was a big call, I think, for that episode, Armageddon Now, to have a god who was killed. I know that Rob thought long and hard about doing that because obviously you can't kill gods. And it was quite I wouldn't say emotional time, but it was a big thing because it was the first ever god to die. Strife had sort of become kind of popular in the sense that he was just such an idiot. And for me as well, and having enjoyed playing Strife so much as I had, and it was a bit sad, really. Luckily, though, you know, Rob said this is not the end, and you know, you'll come back as something else. But at the time, and if you can remember the scene where he dies, it is very sad. It was played out that way. And Ares, of course, as much as he chastised Strife, it was very moving for him as well, which was a nice moment to see, you know, to see Ares suddenly have a bit of a compassionate side.
Oh, what have you done? He's dead. Dead. He can't be dead. He's a god!
At least we know the stuff really works, huh?
Callisto.
He wasn't so bad. He tried hard. He was just no good at his job. You didn't have to do this!
But, and of course, how do you play a death scene without feeling like you're just hamming it? So You just have to try and remain true to it, I suppose. Especially it's hind's blood. I've never been killed by hind's blood, so how do you do that?
I did kill him. And I don't really fully remember his death scene. I think there was lightning and thunder when he died. I think I do remember.
What Tartarus? Something terrible has happened.
Oh, he was God, of course, so, you know, yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? It was nice. Yes, it was very nice to kill a god.
Hind's blood is nasty stuff.
It's the only thing that will kill a god, and the god who has it is Top Gun.
Now, where were we? He is quirky and phonetic and kind of like Callisto a little bit, I think. And it was a nice match to play with him.
Since she had that character, it made it easier to write that show because literally what she was supposed to do is go back and kill Alkmene. And if you just have a one-note villain, all she has to do is walk up to Alkmene and the first thing and boom, you're dead, you know? But since she had that comic kind of cat and mouse thing that she did anyway, that she enjoyed doing, you believed that she would keep letting him get away because you literally had to spend the whole hour chasing Alkmene and Aeolus around town. And so Aeolus would think of some little trick like the cistern falls on top of her and she gets washed away.
I can smell you. Ah, and there you are.
But she could have, you know, killed them 2 seconds later, but she kind of like said, oh, ho, ho, that's funny. Okay. And then she would appear somewhere else. So it made it easier to write that show because it was believable that this evil god would kind of go along with that, you know, until she's bested in the end.
Michael Hurst is lovely. He's an amazing man. He's very funny. He has more energy than anyone has the right to. Very much like Kevin Smith in his interests. Both of them were hungry for everything. Michael Hurst a little bit more spiritual. He would always be reading books, heavy books, but he did TM, which I remember, which is a transcendental meditation. So he was into things that I also like. Kind man. Kind, smart, always up for a laugh. It was just fun for him. It wasn't serious or heavy it was just fun. It was his life.
Well, Kevin and I had known each other for a long time prior to that, and we had a mutual trust, and Kevin was very good to work with in the sense that if you threw anything at him, it wouldn't faze him, and he'd go with it no matter what happened. That's due to his comic genius and stuff, and I really didn't know Hudson that well. We kind of just met on that episode, but she had an intensity which was pretty amazing, and as an actor, if you work with people who have an intensity like that and have an approach to their work like Kevin did, it kind of just lifts your game as well, and you can't get complacent, especially on a show like Hercules where, you know, it's a big show and there's lots of money in it, and you've got to really prove that you're up there with the big boys. And as an episode, it's a pretty big episode in lots of ways. So to be a part of it was pretty amazing.